Good afternoon once again. We are here, and once again, it is our great pleasure to be in your reality. It would be wonderful if you all had the same great pleasure to be in your reality. And that is one of our intentions, to inspire you and to elevate your understanding of energy and the use of energy and how it is for free. If you have your wits about you to use it, you are experiencing great pleasure by living, by being in your own reality. But over the years, we have become deeply invested in the human experience. People ask us all manner of questions about this and that, and over the years, we've had to wait for you to grow up. Just as you cannot explain all the intricacies of an adult life to a young child, it is sometimes challenging for us as Pleiadians, cosmic beings, visitors, etc., to convey to you all the complexities that are involved in living in the multiverse, when you are convinced that you are trapped in a random world, stuck in linear time. Nothing could be further from the truth. But it is so conditioned and programmed in your DNA and conditioned within your experience of reality that we've had to wait many years to watch you slowly as a people begin to pull back the curtains, to question the sacred cows, to question institutions that you know killed you at one time, punished you, put you in prison, separated you from your loved ones because you questioned. And you may have questioned something very simple. You may have told the church you saw the stars move. That, believe it or not, was enough to get you in big trouble at one time. People were not supposed to understand the heavens. Perhaps you saw shooting stars. You said the stars move. So within your experience of life, your ancestors and all the genetic memory that goes back to, as our vehicle was discussing with you, the origins of some of your genetic heritage. But beyond that, you also have mixings of other stellar influences. People have said to us, Pleiadians, why are you so interested in our Earth? We said because in some capacity we are your ancestors. But we are also, we who speak to you come from the future. Now, the Anunnaki have an obvious footprint on your planet. And this is being discovered left and right. Everything is unfolding and has been in terms of a larger picture of time, probably over the last 150 years. Age of Enlightenment, the discoveries in Egypt, discoveries in Sumer, and then the acceleration. Then you had the wars, World War I, World War II, mass sacrifices to confuse people, to confuse the progress. Why at the same time the Industrial Revolution is really kicking into gear. Why people have jobs and they're working, but what are they really working for? From the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, that goes back to the 1700s, one could say that you have rebuilt the Anunnaki infrastructure on your planet, the space systems. The Anunnaki, in visiting your world, had to construct spaceports, mission control centers. They had to lay out the land, landing pads, all this kind of thing for the rocketry that would move from Earth to heaven. And remember, Anunnaki translates as those who from heaven to earth came. And you basically, if you step back and you say what's happened on Earth, earth in the last 250 years, from the last time that Pluto conjuncted the galactic center, in 1760s, and then again in 2007. And everything started to rip open in the now. What's happened is that you have the capability to get into the air, and you have the capability and the ambition to go into space. Once many countries went into space, they found lots of opposition on Mars, on the Moon. Many probes have been turned off, shut down. Astronauts, your space people who go up there, they have been seeing all kinds of things, and they have been sworn to secrecy even back from the 60s, 70s. Some of them who caused trouble or who wanted to speak about it, there were lots of nervous breakdowns among the astronauts, lots of medical problems. They were made heroes in the paper, and their families are falling apart behind the scene because they are forbidden from speaking about what they saw, and what they saw were obvious evidence of civilizations in space. Think about how contrary that is. Now it's not possible to keep the genie in the bottle, to use one of your Earth colloquialisms. Everything is blowing up. Our vehicle explained the astrology to you, the timing. The Mayans were told way back when the long count calendar ends, big stuff is going to happen and we will return. The Christians, they're all up in a lather about the second coming. The Muslims, they are up in a ladder about the return of the Mahdi, their prophet. The Hebrew Jews, they're sure that Jesus was not the prophet. There's someone else returning. You go into other parts of the world, and what you find are various prophecies and beliefs, different names, of course, and different calendar structures and methods of counting. But synchro after synchro, they all point sort of to an evolving now. point of view, you look at the clock and you say, well, it's midnight on 2012, and now it's not December 21 anymore, it's 22, and look, the world's still there, so must be that was all hoax. That's your timing. You must understand that time is a local custom, and that you are still and will be for many years in the window of the end. The end. The end of a way of understanding reality. And because of certain people in the cosmos who set up these calendars, there's support for assisting you to come out of one ending and to be birthed into a new beginning. If a new beginning cannot start until the old is rendered asunder or demolished. If you buy a piece of property and it's got some old shack on it, but you love the property and it's gorgeous and it's old, it's been maintained for a long time, we say old growth trees, and it hasn't been disturbed for perhaps 100 years, and there's some old shanty or two on it. Are you going to just build your modern home on top of the shanty? No. You either build in a different place or you demolish the shanty. This is what's happening now. To attempt to build on top of the old will not work. So the old must crumble. And it is all in timing. And sometimes from your point of view, it looks quite frightening. Because where's the paycheck going to come from? How am I going to pay the rent? How am I going to put the food on the table? All of these very basics. Now, in terms of these systemic changes, they are not happening solely on Earth. And because you are a very special place, living library, what happens here affects a lot of other life forms that have a genetic trace into your existence. Animals, plants, creatures, all of you. And because the humankind is undergoing two things. You are racing towards extinction. Your scientific is called the sixth extinction. That is from their point of view. You've had these big extinctions on the planet before, and often what triggers a massive extinction can be a number of components. Sometimes there is a radiation event that occurs from cosmic sources, and many life forms die out or migrate to another version of Earth, and other life forms adapt to the radiation and go to a new level. And it happens relatively quickly, within decades, that's to say, not over tens of thousands of years. And sometimes someone pushes a button and says, we don't like what's happening on this earth. Sometimes cosmic forces battle over Earth as to who has the right to own the library, because you are full of resources, not just gold. The most valuable resource on the planet are the genetic material. So many beings are interested in Earth. Many are interested in maintaining your high gem quality. That means the pristine waters. That means supporting the life forms. And over the last, let's say, 3, 4, maybe 5 decades at the most, many people have been contacted by ETs of various types. And you are highly tricked on these ETs because the Anunnaki, if they could design a prototype from which you are a descendant, a hybrid being, they can build any kind of creatures they want. Do you understand this? And then they can trick you and say, you see these creatures, they come from here, they really rule the earth. And they are octopuses. You see these creatures here, they are raccoons. They are a separate race. They really rule the earth. You get the picture, folks, without us going into too much detail here. That you have been tricked, not you, the governments of the world are meeting what are called organic life forms or robotoids of sorts that are built by the Anunnaki as forms of deception. They put them in rockets, they have them visit the Earthlings go, wow, we're meeting ETs, there's so many of them out there. But perhaps they are models, they are designs, they are what you call AI. We call it RT-Intel, artificial intelligence. Yet it looks really real. So much of what you are going to go through in the next number of years will be dismantling not only what's in the DNA, but you will be dismantling your beliefs about what you think reality is. And it's unfolding so quickly, human consciousness into the complexities of the multiverse, that it's difficult for any of the humans to grasp these large pictures. And then if you can't grasp it, you put a belief on it, you say it must be like this, because that is as big as I can think. So understand that you are in a high learning curve. You are probably going to learn more in the next 10 years than you ever thought possible. And reality is going to change this much. You are going to relearn, rethink everything. And then you will be helping others by generally moving into the healing arts to help sustain and support people through the trauma of, oh my God, that's not really real? And coming up to support you, Uranus and Aries, is all kind of new direction, new states of consciousness. So if you get new ideas, to break away from the old, to be inspired, to be trained in understanding how the body really operates. Everyone wants to go into what is it called IT? What does that stand for?
Information technology.
Information technology. You want to go into what the body can really do. That is where you are going to have the most rewarding profession, is to help people get well. Not only in their physical body, but in their soul purpose, in the psyche. You get sick because you don't know how to deal with your emotional issues. And these emotional issues follow you from lifetime to lifetime to lifetime. You get stabbed in the back in one lifetime, you have pain in the back in this one. In the same place you got stabbed. You have so much power that if you start saying, oh, that person's a pain in the back end, that person's a pain in the neck, and if you say those two words over and over again, guess what your body will do? It will follow your command. It does not care about the people. It listens to the words you say. You will have a pain in the neck and a pain in the back end. The power you have to playfully and creatively restructure your reality is at your command. Now, we know some of you would like to take us home with you. Like we could be purchased a little cuddly to sit on your shoulder, to advise you, to whisper to you, to say, come on, say this, do this, do this. Part of evolving your spirit is to prove that you can do it. You use your own gumption, and you use ambition and goals and clarity of mind, and you say, I can, I will, I want to. That is what is required in these times. On a level that is practical, and yet it will take you into the cosmos. Right? That's two questions. Good ones. Impress us with how smart you are. Impress us with your ability to help everyone in the room and everyone on the planet. All right, we laid it out there thickly. All right, we'll start with a little side here, and little family members. Who would like to ask a question?
Anna.
Anna, yes, good. You're playing the game well. What's your question?
You mentioned Malachi, Saint Malachi.
Father Malachi. Who is Father Malachi? He wrote out these prophecies. Our vehicle did say that. And he prophesied little lines like poetry about the papacy. And he would use 2 or 3 or 4 lines about each Pope, as the Pope would be selected by the College of Cardinals. And he started this 1300 something like this. So it's been going on. And he prophesied all the way through, and then he prophesied a last pope, and it just so happens that this pope you have now, according to his prophecy, falls into the last prophecy. And this is, according to this father, is the last pope. That's interesting, yes? And how could that be? Because, now here's a logical thinker, according to their doctrination, but the Pope is always God's representative on earth. So if this is the last of God's representative on earth, ergo, or therefore, either God's giving up or God's coming back in herself. What do you think? Giving up or coming back? And how would this particular Pope, who came from, he's Italian, but he spent lots of years in Argentina. Oh, that's quite synchronistic. That's one of the places that the Nazis hid themselves from and hung out, and especially Hitler was known to have been in Argentina. And so then you have now this last supposed Pope coming from Argentina, but he's really Italian, and all popes must be Italian. You pretty much know that, except for a few exceptions. It's what's really going on. Remember, on the soul level, these times in which you live are extraordinarily pivotal and powerful to rippling across the lines of time, not only to other species, but to your own multidimensional selves. Anything else on this question?
No, thank you.
All right, good. Who, this side, Enki's side, who has a question?
Because mentioned the planet Nibiru and where the Anunnakis come from.
Yes.
And it's my understanding that each time that during the 3,600 year cycle that Nibiru passes through our solar system, especially past the Earth and around the Sun, that it causes physical changes on a very large scale to the Earth.
It can. It depends now on a number of things. It is called the planet of crossing, so that means it sort of bumps through the solar system, and it's also called the Destroyer. It's one of its nicknames. And you know now that you have this sun in the middle of your solar system. And you realize now that this happens, it's a protocol or a form of how planets are set up. And the planets have their orbit. And so it depends, Beatrice, on which side of the sun, the timing of where Earth is and where the planet of the crossing is. If they sort of are in vicinity around the block from each other, then all chaos breaks loose. And this passing has historically created oodles of problems. It's just because of the large orbital plane and because your short memory, the autos know what's happening and you forget. So what exactly is your question?
Well, you've answered some of it, but mostly is, are you currently aware of how closely Nibiru is going to pass us, if indeed it is passing through our solar system at this time? And if it is going to pass closely, will there be safe zones where there will be less disruption to the physical Earth?
We will tell you what some speculations are from scientifics who have broken ranks and realize that a big deception is going on Earth. And here's their conjecture. And it is a valid point. It's not as if this X12 Nibiru, Chernobyl, whatever you're going to call it, is singular. It is a larger planet, certainly not the size of Jupiter. That would be totally destructive to your system, because you have the planetary sphere, and then you would have the energy field, the various, you call them atmospheres, around the planetary sphere. And the planet and the atmospheres would be filled with whatever the energy frequency or paradigm of the planet is. And then there would be, because of Nibiru's more comet-like activity, there would be what is called detritus, talus, all the space junk that's sort of accompanies Nibiru. In addition, Nibiru has been portrayed as sort of traveling in a delta type of configuration. That would mean it's a high military sort of figure. You understand the delta to be this, like the geese flying, one at the point, and then all going backward. So you would have Nibiru in the center, and then allegedly 7 moons, 1 point moon around Nibiru. It's important to understand that a moon can be built. That an object can be harnessed, roped, corralled, brought in, shaped, and made to appear as if it is something, but it is really an artificial construct. Your moon is an example. You are going to meet a technology that an understanding of the cosmos is far beyond what anyone could even imagine. Yet, inside, if you make room, you all have DNA of the Anunnaki. And they know the story. So somewhere the story can make sense if you give yourself time and the buffer and the support of nature to process all this. So now the real question she's asking is how much destruction could may there be? It does depend on the orbital plan, but it also, scientific would say there's nothing we can do about this. This is inevitable. Sometimes some things are inevitable. But many of the Anunnaki understand it as many extraterrestrials do the power of consciousness. There's also technologies, best word we can use, put in place long ago by visitors, by other colonizers, by helpers, and this technology is based under the Earth's surface, and it activates a shield that is about 7,000 plus miles, actually about 7,200 miles above Earth. And we'll point out the efficacy of this shield. Efficacy means efficiency. If you look at the moon, you look at Mars, you look at some of the other planets, they are pockmarked. They have had spots or something, yes, with craters everywhere. You don't see this with Earth, do you?
No.
How could it be that your closest neighbor, the moon, a 250,000 miles away, about 240,000, has been hit over and over again and is filled with craters? Why don't you have evidence of oodles of craters around your planet? You've been hit, not in recent times, because the shield is up. The question is, will someone activate the shield? Or will the Anunnaki turn the shield down? And then it depends when Guru will be in a certain position. And then it will also depend on what state of consciousness the people of Earth are able to reach. Not so much on your own, but as things start activating from inside out of crisis, crisis calls it up. You will fly to new levels if you can keep your wits and not use violence. And you may miss this one. But you're going to get some disruptions of some sort. Understand that the globalists are frightened. Understand that they took trillions of dollars, the global elites, using the military, using people from the surface that they kidnapped, and they had them build complexes underground. But we recently told some students of ours, we said, you know, what these globalists are finding, unfortunately, they've built these large cities, they've filled them with supplies, and they are supposed to be a place to run when the surface gets crazy. Go to Turkey and start exploring in Turkey, and you'll find the Turkish people did it thousands of years ago. Underground complexes, you'll find it in South America. You'll find it in the USA, you'll find it in Russia. You'll find that this technique of building underground in time of crossing is ancient. Now, what's happening today, it's all slick and modern, it's filled with all kinds of goodies and gourmet foods and waters and you name it. What's above is below. You get this? As above, so below. Everything. But what's happening is what's below, way below, started becoming above. And as they came above, they came into these underground cities, which are your below. And they said, wow, look at these nice places that no one's sitting in. We are making jokes, but we are saying some of these complexes have now been occupied. They've been taken over. And in many regards, folks, there's more going on beneath your feet than there is currently in the heavens. And people are seeing all manner of sightings every single day. So it's all heating up and to something, but there's no foregone conclusions. There's no guarantee that you are going to enter a time of complete planetary destruction due to the passing of Nibiru. More than likely, you are going to have systems being rearranged and go through a number of challenging years where you'll be dealing with really rebuilding reliable systems, and so there will be a lot of, quote, survival issues for those who have not covered their bases. Anything else, Beatrice?
The shield that you mentioned.
Yes.
That is avoiding the meteors and things that cause craters. Does this also have an impact on the gravitational pull that is caused, what I would imagine, by the passing of a large entity such as Nibiru that would, my understanding is, would shift the poles of the Earth drastically, as in sort of moving the crust of the Earth, which might cause things such as tidal waves and earthquakes, other than the meteor showers and things that... This
is a very legitimate point. You have done your homework, and of course, many people believe you are now in a magnetic shift because things keep moving quickly. And just to let you know the power of the passing of a planet that some sites say they see it, some say they don't, that for years now, at least 10, 15 years, almost 20 years, the scientifics have been observing atmospheric changes, the brightness changes on planets, polar activity, melting of caps, and this Nibiru is far, far away. So what we are saying is that energy can operate over distances of billions of miles in a cosmos that you cannot even measure. And yes, you will see, at least minimally, these types of results. Another thing to factor in is that the Anunnaki never really leave. They leave a skeletal crew on Mars, on the moon, perhaps inside the Earth, in systems, in governments, in religions. They have their minions. And things are accelerated now. And people living at the coastal regions too close, you are going to experience more and more problems with water. And yes, it is entirely possible that coastal regions will start to feel the turmoil. The earth will start changing. We believe our vehicle pointed out to you that when the planet Uranus moves into the sign of Taurus, that will be about 2018. You will have 7 years. 7 and 8 is 25. So from about 2018 through again 2025, 2026, things settle down and are more sorted out, and you enter a new, quote, paradigm of understanding around 2028. And between then and now, you have big astrological changes that you go through. Big ones, very, very big ones. Does that help you understand?
It does. Just very quickly.
Go ahead, it's fine. As long as it's an intelligent question, you are helping everyone understand.
Okay. If we are to be aware of these potential environmental hazards such as coastal areas and changes in the water, are we aware, are you aware of when this is likely to begin? Because our understanding tells us it will likely be between August and the end of September or potentially December, but I'm wondering if you have any further knowledge on that.
Well, many people are tuning in, or they're piecing things together, they're decoding. The globalists do have a lot of plans for this year. I understand it. And if things start to accelerate end of August, early September, there's key dates that they're aiming for. And yet the best laid plans can be rendered asunder and thrown all out of the window because the gift that humans have is the gift of unpredictability. And as the masses change their minds, wake up, they shift the props and understand, Beatrice and everyone else, that there have been many, many plans over the last 5 years that the globalists had to squish you, smosh you, attack you, nuke you. Lots of it did not occur. The heaviest things happen in the most volatile areas where the people have the most fear and where they have the most guns and where they want to harm each other to get what they want. The lower the vibe, the more primitivo it is, and the more it is root chakra fighting another root chakra. That's where the bad stuff happens. The more you raise your vibration, the more you can think clearly, and the more you can position yourself or change the probes or call in guidance for protection. We'll say this to you. You've never had a lifetime like this one. That's where everyone's here. And to some extent it's new territory. To another extent, you have the Anunnaki inside you, their genetics, and to them it's old hat. But you must get your sea legs. These are good questions. Now, things will accelerate. You will see activity at the last week of July. This is the summer solstice weekend, and many plans are laid right around the summer solstice. Use the sun from the sky, use the light to come in and to inform you. 6 weeks from now, you will come to what is called August 1st, or Lamos. The week prior to Lamos is a week of high ritual sacrifice among the globalists who like to control the world. The humans are harvesting the vegetables. The globalists are laying plans to wreck everything. Build your plans and love the earth and love yourself and understand that the forces of darkness and evil may undo themselves in a very spectacular way. But in order for them to be corralled and contained, those beings of goodness and integrity must live that out greater than ever before in their own generosity of beautiful living. It is big choices that you are occurring. They set things into motion, and Lamas is often known as the sacrifice of the king. The king, a leader, often is sacrificed at Beltane to fertilize, to let the realities they want come into being. And then at the harvest time, another powerful person is sacrificed or killed to give thanks for the harvest, because then the real kicker starts at the equinox. And there are suspicious events out there. But understand, you've set out to do things on your own and everything fell apart, yes? Anyone ever have that happen? A few snafus? The globalists are dealing with this all the time, because do not think they all like each other and they get along. People who do not do good works do that to each other. They use each other. So they are battling bad inside her. You follow this? And there's all kinds of things going on in all the governments of the world. So there could be things that start to happen end of August. People come home from vacation. September could be some big tricks, some big shifts. Just intend that you are in the right place, everything will work out more than fine, and get smarter. Much, much, much smarter in terms of what you know. Who else has a question? It is now in little side of the family. Who is it over here?
Paul.
Paul?
Paul. Hello, please.
All right, loud and clear.
Okay. You mentioned that our moon is artificial. Who built it? How do they use it? How does it affect us?
The Anunnaki use it. How does it affect you? You are entrained with the cycles of the moon. It is a supply base. Most of it, many things occur inside of the moon because the Anunnaki are master builders. They know how to build. They know how to build on Earth, in the cosmos. That is their forte. Some of them are good at genetics, but they're really, really good at building. Rock, stone, glass, other substance you have no idea of. And they can shape worlds. They can build worlds like the moon, and then we'll make it real simple. Turn the key and fly off. In other words, they can build structures and then use them to travel. This is important to understand. So if new things appear in the sky, they look like new artificial or new planets or something. It can be holographs, it can be literally something that is real, that's moved around. You must expand what you think is possible. So they use it as a supply base, they use it as high ground. If you've been in military, any military company is always going to go to high ground because you have a better vision and you can see. They have positioned it so that it appears in the sky to be exactly the same size as the sun. Yet the sun is 93 million miles from Earth. The moon is 250,000 miles. Wow, that's miraculous. How does it affect you? It entrains you to certain cycles of consciousness. Is this bad? It is what you incarnated into. It is a system that you are not really probably going to change. But you know, a few years ago, someone must have figured something out. 10 years ago or something, our vehicle came across a statement by some scientific on your world, and he said we could fix everything if we blew up the moon. And then that was it. He obviously knew something, yes?
Yeah.
Now, it's always best to work with what's around you. If you can't fix it, condition it. The moon itself is not bad. are naughty, some of them have not the best of intentions, others have evil intentions, and others have good intentions. And the moon is basically reflecting the light of the sun. And so the cycles that you are in can be used. Ask any gardener that understands how to plant. Everything can be done by the moon, and you can gain tremendous benefits from the moon. But certainly they can use the moon to send frequencies at the Earth, to do weather control to Earth, to do all manner of things. And there's much more to say, but we will move on, Paul, to another question from someone else. Who else has a question on Enki's side?